together. We change the world.
Hello everyone, it's your boy Theo here. Let's dive straight into Transcendence Tier 8. The crucibles for this tier, which is the smaller nodes, can actually be soloed. And let's start with Crucible 1 right here, the left one. It has a blue crystal requirement. Laguna and Tidus BT Plus can solo the stage. The orb is quite lethal, but they are very simple to tick up. You just need to bring a debuffer. It has a second orb condition, which is applying a golden frame debuff, but that will only tick up if the enemy take a turn. So it's really easier to just bum rush the fight and bring someone that can constantly apply at least one debuff. For this fight, I'm actually using a duo of Lightning and Laguna because I needed to get Lightning to the middle node for a solo event later on. Do stay until the end to check it out. So let's talk a little bit about Laguna. The man with the machine gun finally gets his BT and LD. With this, he finally becomes a very potent debuffer and damage dealer, with constant off-turn damage tied to his BT golden frame debuff called Desperado. As you can see there, whenever the enemy takes HP damage, Laguna will trigger a follow-up full AoE HP attack, dealing damage equals to 500% of his attack value. So this BT does change his role a little bit. Much like Core and Kane, Laguna now pairs really well with turn hoggers like Tidus, Terra and Lightning. And this is the main reason I pulled for him. Each turn Lightning takes will trigger an extra 150k damage for free. And all these procs do add up into enormous damage. His BT buff is really quite good as well. It only has two effects. One is breath damage limit up and the other is the illustrious HP damage limit up at a whopping 32% value, assuming the target has 8 debuffs. So if you want to maximize the effect of his BT, you might need to bring debuffer calls. Laguna himself already has 5 debuffs, so we need 3 extra. In my team, Lightning already has 1, and the other 2 comes from Dark Knight Cecil's LD debuff and Kurasame, totaling up to 8 debuffs, and we are getting the maximum value out of Laguna. So this fight is really quite a pushover. Don't want to take too many turns with Lightning because I want to try out Laguna's shiny new BT phase. So prior to this, I activated his LD so I can enter the BT phase with a free skill use, which I use on Grenade, which is the better button to press because it has double dump and split AoE HP damage, unlike Shotgun, which only does 2 HP damage and a single splash. And courtesy of his LD buff, Laguna can now trigger additional follow-up attack whenever he deals HP damage. It's a split AoE HP damage with double dumps. It's really quite good. So that makes Laguna's minimum HP dump to be around 4. His LD and EX are strongest at 4 HP dumps each. And if we factor in the follow-up from LD, that makes it 6 HP dumps. It's really quite good and can probably last all the way up to Shinryu with this. So let's see how much total HP damage we can do with Laguna's BT phase without any launch and follow-up damage from another character. It should be quite high. I kept seeing maximum HP damage for all of his turns. Ooh, 11 million. Not even Lightning can do that kind of damage, even when I had Garnet and Ramza in the team. The max I could do was 10 million with her. Right, so the fight is pretty much over. Lightning is just turn hogging and proccing more Desperado ticks, and the boss should die pretty soon after this. Oh, and I actually forgot to equip the Ultima Weapon Sword on Lightning for this run. I just finished the other Crucible with a solo Terra, equipped the sword on her, and just forgot to change it before entering this fight. But all is good. The enemies went down without any trouble. Right, so let's get into the second Crucible. So for this Crucible, we need a green crystal, and Terra is green and she can solo it even with just base BT. The orb of this fight is tied to consecutive turns, so every time they take damage from the same character, after 2 turns and 5 turns it will tick up. Yeah, the stage is really meant for Terra after all. If you do want to attempt the solo with Terra, I'd highly recommend using Shiva as your summon. Terra has really slow base speed and the enemies often take the first turn. It worked fine in my run because they only did 2 weak breath attacks. Yeah, this solo is incredibly easy to replicate. Just bring a CA like I'm using Dark Knight Cecil for the HP damage up and delay, and just use her LD right off the bat and enter BT when you need to. There's really not much thinking to do. Just spam buttons with her. So with her C90 rework, her EX Riot Blade is her strongest button to press now outside of LD, and then followed by Meltdown and Meteor. So Meltdown is actually strictly better than Meteor. It has 3 HP dump and a splash, while Meteor just has triple HP dump without any splash. So most of the time you just want to press Meltdown. Unless you really need the AoE Brave Shave, there's really no reason to press her S2 nowadays. But I do recommend using Meteor at least once. It gives Terra a generic speed up buff while applying a speed down debuff on the enemies. So I'm going to speed up the rest of this fight now because it's just Terra spamming LD and Meltdown non-stop over and over again. It's quite tedious to do, but hey, it works. Oh, and if you noticed there earlier, they also buffed the special HP attack, Dual Cast. It has splash now. Not a very important rework since we'll be using her skills most of the time, but I guess it does help her out a little bit during BT phase if you are saving LD for the last button. Yep, so this should be the final LD before they go down. I end up not needing the summon after all. Should have picked Shiva and make my life easier. Yeah, and that's the final blow. And now onto the main event, Reckoning. So this fight has quite a unique mechanic. We need to kill the boss 3 times. It has about 13 million HP for the full life bar, and we need to get it down to 9% every time for it to trigger regenerate. So that is about 37 million effective health that we need to go through. For phase 1, there's no orb, no extra mechanics, but brave gains are reduced by 100% for this part of the fight. Upon triggering the first regenerate, we enter phase 2. The brave gain penalty is removed and there will be an orb at count 5. This orb is lethal and it will tick down only on enemy turn. So in phase 2, we will want to burn the boss down as fast as possible, especially if we are not bringing delays. It might be good to use your BT phase here, depending on your team composition. And upon triggering the second regenerate, we enter the final phase. There will be an orb at count 10. This orb is not lethal and we need to let it explode before we can end the fight. So we need the boss to take 10 actions before we can finally kill it. To make it easier, this boss is immune to break delay during this phase. So I'm going to speed up this portion of the fight since lightning will just be doing lightning things. Use skill when it's plus version, if not use HP attack, and just delay the boss forever. Since the boss doesn't need to take any turn before phase 3, there's really not much else for lightning to do. So feel free to skip ahead to minute 16 of this video for the next phase of the fight. So now we are at the third phase of the fight. Because of its break delay immunity, the boss turn will slowly catch up to lightning, and that is when I had to play defensively. I've applied Kater's LDCA for a 3-turn freeze debuff. So here I purposely take a break, so the boss will act 3 times and do no harm to lightning. And once that expires, I try to break the boss first to get a consecutive turn, and then I activate Kater's base CA, hoping for lucky dodges. This CA has about 70% evasion rate, so it's not too bad, but I still need to brave attack in case it went wrong. Its recast is almost coming up. I'll probably do 2 brave attacks again here. And another one. Oh, okay, Spark Strike. Looks like I'm feeling quite adventurous there. In hindsight, I probably should have do brave attack instead, so I didn't turn jump. So the attack hit there. No lucky dodge this time. But I have Alexander summon ready just for this scenario. So if you notice, after the boss does its recast, it gains a blue aura that redirects all battery and healing to itself. So I need to be extra careful while the blue aura is still active on the boss. And here I will waste some turns and even enter BT phase so I can heal back up. Using my AA ability here just to waste extra turn and remove that frame speed down debuff. Now that is gone and I can heal back, I'll enter BT phase. And it should get me back to full health, thanks to Alexander's blessing. Oh, and it's also a good time for me to refresh Lightning's overhead buff, because she ran out long time ago. So this solo run is actually inspired by a Japanese Lightning Saga runner. I'll leave a link to his original run down below in the description. He uses a more offensive approach and relied on Kurasame Call instead of defensive ones like mine. It's really quite a beautiful run to watch, but it's just so damn long at 30 minutes and 100 turns. His channel is also quite known for Lightning doing solo in Shinryu stages, despite not meeting the turn requirement. I think there's one where he soloed Ultimicia's Shinryu stage for 800 something turns, and that took hours to record. Yeah, I'm probably not doing that myself. Not that hardcore. Okay, so now the BT phase is over and we are fully healed back up, and I need to let the boss take 3 more turns. So I don't think I'm using EX here. I'm just saving up and building Brave as high as possible so I can be safe. And the same mistake again, I should have done Brave attack there. But yeah, I should be alright here. The boss getting 2 turns back to back. Yep, really close. So the boss needed to take 1 more turn. I'll use EX here to heal back up a little and take more turns for the Alexander region to proc. And I'll use Lightning's AA just after this attack to unbreak the boss and break it again, so when the boss does its recast, it'll be at the lowest damage possible because of its low bravery. Doing a brave attack here and finally tank the final attack. and lightning should be able to survive this. So that's the blue aura again. We need to take 5 consecutive turns to remove it so we can heal back up. So I'll use the LD just to take tons of turns before finally entering summon phase and healing back up to full. So even after the orb disappear, the boss is still immune to break delay. And for that reason, this solo might not be possible without an Ultima Weapon Sword. Because once we enter summon to heal back, we have a very limited turn to rush down the boss to 0 because it's no longer delayable. And also the turn count requirement is 110 and I'm already at 99. Right, so the blue aura disappears and I'll summon and back to full HP. The boss is at 13 HP left and I should be able to kill it soon enough before my LD buff expire. My lightning is on 5 out of 5 Ultima Weapon Sword. So what you see now is her current maximum damage potential solo. No, I tried using a non-Ultima Weapon Lightning the other day and her damage output was just terrible. Would not want to try that again. Yep, this EX should close out the match and finishing at exactly 100 turn. Oh, yeah, there it is. So thank you for watching guys, I hope you enjoyed the run. Please leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And do leave in the comment section below what team you used to clear this tier of Transcendence. Thank you so much and see you in the next one. Bye bye.